Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap, a Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry. And before we get started, just want to remind you, if you want to leave your own message, go down to the description section. There's a link there. You can click that and you can leave a message, comment, question. I listen to those, and if something worth putting on, we'll put it on the show and answer it. Also, the Patreon link is down there if you want to consider supporting the show. So, all right. One of the things, let me just let you in on a little secret. One of the things I hate the most, biggest pet peeve, is repeating myself. However, I might have just chose the wrong hobby to get into, but it is what it is. I understand the life of YouTube because people tend to hear what they want to hear is what you find out. Either they don't listen at all, they listen and don't comprehend, or they listen and just make up what they heard. And so that's fine. That's the life I'm in. So we're going to revisit some of these topics because I honestly didn't think it would be such a big crowd of people that had such opposite response. And that's fine for you not to have the same opinion about things. That's not the issue. But we want to just go ahead and address that. Plus, it's quarantine. What else we doing? So, all right. First off, let's start with the Bears thing. Oh my God. Okay. So let me go back to the whole little math lesson here. We're talking about mutually exclusive properties. So what we're basically talking about with mutually exclusive is that two things can happen, but it doesn't mean they have to be connected. So for example, you can eat pizza and the Bears could win a game while you're eating pizza. That does not mean the Bears won because you ate pizza. It does not mean every time you eat pizza, the Bears are going to win. It doesn't mean that the Bears can't win if you don't eat pizza. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. So two things can exist on their own. So what happened with this conversation about the Bears and the black quarterback thing is somehow people took my response of the Bears aren't purposely shutting out black quarterbacks, and they took that and turned that into, oh, no one in the Bears is racist. No one in the Bears is biased. No one in the Bears has prejudice. And I need you to understand that those two things don't have to go together. A person can be biased, racist, prejudiced, discriminatory, and they can still scout correctly and go after the best talent regardless of race. Those two things can happen. And so what inevitably happened is a bunch of people turned that into a conversation that I was not having. I'm not interested in talking about who is racist and who is not, and who is biased and who's prejudiced in the Bears organization. I don't know those people. I'm not going to talk about the McCaskies and the owners and anybody else. I don't know them. I don't know you. You could be sitting at home and be racist. I'm not about to comment on you, so why should I comment on them? I don't know. That ain't my point. My point is that is not affecting what the Bears are doing. And so, funny enough, people used a bunch of examples that just proved my point. Because, you know, they got to tell me about racism and discrimination in America and how it works. I'm a black man. I'm an African-American man in America. I know how it works. But people felt the need to tell me about how people benefit off of African-American people, even though they don't like them. And I'm like, you're proving my point. You're literally proving my point. My point was never that, oh, everybody in the Bears organizations are perfectly fine and equitable. I don't know. That's not my point. My point is it's not affecting their work. And I believe somehow I literally said this in the video, but yet people just decide to ignore it, that you can be prejudiced and biased and still do your job. And so that was the whole point of it. And again, every excuse and every thing people pointed to, even though some people just flat out was like, yeah, I just believe it. I don't have no evidence, but I don't care. Okay, well, that makes no sense. But anyway, But everything people threw at me, it just had nothing to do with the conversation. They were trying to have a different conversation. My point was never that you can't work and do your job, and or my point was never that just because you do your job that means you're not racist. That's never what I said. So anyway, past all that, people have to realize that despite what you might feel about how the Bears went about things, that just doesn't make sense. And I don't want to hear this, oh, it doesn't have to make sense. Yes, it does, because we're talking about money. At the end of the day, that's the biggest thing. And so someone will sit here and tell me again, over and over, they will employ majority team of black players. But I'm so racist that I don't like black players, but somehow I'm only racist enough to care about the quarterback position. And I said, okay, naturally, the question is, what makes the quarterback position so special that you got to focus your racism on that position? And there's no good answer. Don't give me the face of the franchise stuff. Was Trent Dilfer the face of the 2000 Ravens? Was Jim McMahon the face of the 85 Bears? Was Rex Grossman the face of our Bears in 2005? No, they were not. They absolutely were not. Why is that? Because they were not the top players. And so you try to throw this whole thing in that doesn't work. Oh, quarterback equals face of the franchise. Does it really? Is Fitzpatrick, was he the face of the Dolphins last year? That's what you're telling me. And then people get to pick and choose. So if Andy Dalton is the face of the Bengals because he's a quarterback, that's what you told me, and he gets hurt, is the face of the franchise now running back? But that doesn't make sense. Why is it not the backup quarterback? Oh, because it's not backup quarterbacks, it's starting quarterbacks. Oh, okay, starting quarterbacks. So once again, why wasn't the Ravens face of the franchise Trent Dilfer? Oh, well, because, they weren't good. You got to be a good quarterback. Oh, okay, so now we're coming to my realm of logic, where it's about being good and not being in a certain position. So once again, you as a great quarterback, good to great, whatever, can be the face of the franchise. Agreed. So now we're telling me that the team is going to actively make sure they don't have a good, great quarterback just because they don't want them to be the face of the franchise. And then on top of that, you got people that argue the Bears never get a good quarterback, and that has nothing to do with race. So which one is it? Again, my point. None of it makes sense. That's how I feel about it. So again, if you want to believe something with zero evidence, go right ahead. If not, then you need to at least understand, because this is not really an opinion. You can do both things at once. You can be whatever at home and still go to work and do your job. You can also pass on quarterbacks of certain color and still not be racist. You can still do those things too. A lot of things can happen. That's just like saying picking Nick Bosa at DN was racist instead of picking the black DN. That's just stupid. So anyway, and then also, did you know Pat Mahomes is the first black quarterback or any quarterback of color for the Chiefs? Are they racist too, the Hunt family? Interesting. So, like I said, that is what it is. We'll move past that. Now, one of the things that's my favorite is this Eddie Jackson thing, because I love this because I knew this would happen. I didn't say anything bad against Eddie Jackson, and yet that's what I got accused of. Everybody had to fly in with the Eddie Jackson thing, but really, I don't even care about the accusations. This is the thing that got me. People just straight don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. People literally are in comments saying Eddie Jackson was in the box all season. Eddie Jackson was a run stopper all season. Okay, there's so much wrong with that, but let me start with this. You do know that a strong safety is not a quote-unquote run stopper by definition. you do know that both safeties have run support responsibilities. You know that there's a force on both sides for corners, and there's an alley on both sides for safeties. And so to act as if a strong safety is the only one responsible for a run or is a run stopper, that's just incorrect. And I don't care what your opinion is. That's incorrect. So I keep hearing and people are saying Eddie Jackson was our strong safety last year. What? This was my whole point about apologists. Somehow, of course, people heard apologists and was like, oh, okay, you think Eddie Jackson sucks. You think Eddie, why? So you're mad that people like Eddie Jackson? I'm like, what are you talking about? I never said that. I literally never said that. My point was, how do you claim a player is so good and then turn around and make so many excuses for him to say, oh, he wasn't this because he only did this year, but he's good when he does this? That makes no sense. My point is not Eddie Jackson isn't good. My point is Eddie Jackson is still as good as he was last year, even if he didn't have the stats. But nope, people heard what they want to hear because they want to be on the defensive. Not my fault. But anyway, point being, it's about coverages. You can call a name whatever you want, honestly. That strong safety, free safety stuff, and first of all, most people don't even call them that in their defenses, by the way. But whatever. You call them what you want. It's about coverages. And it's about alignment. I could call a cover 3. In a cover 3, the safety has usually curl to flat, flat to curl, whichever way the team plays it. All right, that's a short zone. Does that mean the safety's going to be in the box? No, it does not. You can rotate your safety at the last second. You can leave your safeties there and they can move to the zone when the play snaps. That does not mean they're lined up in the box. That does mean they're playing a short zone, but that does not mean they're a quote-unquote run defender now. They're always a run defender. And so, anyway, that could be how you set it up. Now, does that mean the strong safety is going to have the short zone? Maybe. Depends on the team. Some team, hey, you always got this, you always got that. Some teams, it depends on the alignment. Okay, we'll do left and right. So my free safety's on the right. The strength is to the right. He's got the short zone. The strength is to the left. The strong safety has the short zone. And you can flip it. It depends on how you call it. So all these people yelling, especially the people telling me I don't know football. I love that one. You don't know football. You don't know how football works, obviously, because you wouldn't even fix yourself to have this conversation. To say this man was a run defender and our strong safety, even if he was our strong safety, that doesn't mean a whole lot. There's so many other variables to it. Now, add on top of that, as I said in the comment, I looked at a random group of 20 plays. Went Nick Kwiatkowski, 2019, 2 different games, looked at a group of plays. Eddie Jackson didn't line up in the box one time. Not one time. And understand, lining up over the slot is not the same thing as lining up in the box. Not once did he do that. Because why is he in the slot pressed up? Because he's in man coverage. Now, lining up next to the linebackers in the box, guess who did that? Clinton Dix. I seen him do it. Didn't see Eddie Jackson do it once in 2 games. Now, that's the sample size, but that's how you do random sampling. So anyway, 13 times out of 20 plays, he was over the top. And guess what? Everyone's like, oh, well, he had to play in the box, so Clinton Dix can play over the top middle. First of all, why would anybody say, hey, we got an all-pro free safety from last year with elite range. We're going to put you in the box because we signed a guy that has to play over the middle. First of all, Clinton Dix is 20 times the dual safety that Eddie Jackson is, and that's from college to the pros. So that wouldn't even make sense to begin with. Second, you signed him. Third, everybody told me how much better this was going to be to have Clinton Dix. And so none of your rationale makes sense. None of it. Plus the fact that if you watch it, it is not even true. He played over the top. And so it makes my head hurt sometimes. Because it's funny to me when I said, yo, we play a lot of quarters. And people who have listened all season will still come in here and tell me Eddie Jackson was a run stopping in the box safety. Really? He was a run stopping in the box safety in quarters coverage. That's not how that works. And so again, as I said, the ratios are different this year than with Amos. Most definitely, I believe it. But Pagano was going to do that. I said that from the beginning. He moves his safeties. He wants that flexibility. And then on top of that, some people are like, oh, he's not deep middle of the field. That doesn't mean anything. He was deep half of the field, which is easier. So to act like just because he wasn't the single safety back over the deep middle means that he was a box safety is completely wrong. So let's get past that. Now, lastly, Mitch Trubisky. I mean, there's not much to say there. I think the people that call themselves apologists or whatnot, I don't really know what I think what I see, because I was open and listened to everybody's conversations, and I see the comments, I see what you got to say. Most of the people seem to have this idea, as I've said before, and I think you mix in two things. You mix in Mitch's ability as a quarterback and our ability as an offense. Could we build around a power run game? And I said this before, much like make it look like Deshaun Watson early on, where it's play action, easy stuff for Mitch and all that. Could we do that? Yes. Would it be better for our offense? Yes. Would that make Mitch a different quarterback? No. The answer is no, it would not. Just because you have better numbers, that does not mean you're a better quarterback. And I keep telling you, and I will keep telling you, it ain't what you do, is how you do it. And so if Mitch can have numbers that look good on paper because we reduced all his responsibility and turned him to a glorified running back, okay, that's cool. That don't mean that's going to win you games. I mean, we might play better as offense and win some games, but that doesn't mean that's going to get you to where you want to go, as I talked about with the Ravens. Also, that doesn't mean that makes you a better passer. Because you set up the conditions for him to make easier passes does not mean he's a better quarterback now. That just means you manufactured the situation for him to deliver on something. You basically lowered the bar and the standard so that it was easier for him to cross it. That doesn't mean he's a better athlete or a better quarterback. You just changed the line. And so, again, early in his career, that confidence would have been important, because it's not just confidence in what you're doing, it's confidence in your ability. And then you got confidence in your ability, you can push it. This man is going, he's a full vet now. He's going into year 4. There is none of that. There is none of that. That man has seen what he is. He knows what he is. And so that whole confidence thing ain't going to mean much. All it's going to do, if you completely flip the offense right now, all that would do is just help Mitch be more of a facilitator. And that's it, until we got somebody that can be more than a facilitator. Because facilitators rarely win championships. So I think people got two things confused, because people are like, I think Mitch can do this and this. Yeah, he can do things. I'm not saying he's horrible and can't play at all. He can do things, but he's not that type of he's not an A quarterback. He's a C+ quarterback. That is what it is. You can church it up with better weapons and a different scheme, and as they tried to do early on with a bunch of razzle dazzle, you can church it up, but at the end of the day, he's the same quarterback. And so that's how I feel about the situation. And that's what Mitch has shown over time. But yeah, I still stand by what I said. It's mostly on Mitch. And that's not a bad thing. Like, Mitch is who he is. Mitch, again, at quarterback, there's certain things you can change, but you can't change a whole lot. You ain't a running back. Le'Veon Bell could shed 30 pounds out of college and become a different back. You know, you got receivers that can lose weight and work on things, work on hands and become different. Quarterback's not the same. Your accuracy rarely goes up. Your anticipation might go up. Your accuracy rarely goes up. Your IQ might go up, but your arm strength, your footwork, your throwing motion, a lot of that does not change this late into your life. It is muscle memory. So he is who he is. The Bears made their choice for whatever reason they did. And okay, I'm like, whatever. I've said many times, I didn't want any of those quarterbacks. So I'm not a Mitch hater. I'm not a Mitch lover. I didn't want none of those quarterbacks to me were ready. And I wanted Jamal Adams. That's what I wanted. So, I mean, but they made their choice, and that's the draft. Fans love to be hindsight. They love to go back and talk about what shoulda and this, knowing the information already. Yet, if you sit them in the chair, not just making the pick, but actually having to go through the process of seeing all these players and knowing all of them. And we're not just talking about Deshaun Watson, Mahomes. Yes, we get it. A lot of y'all wanted Deshaun Watson. We talking about, it ain't just one pick. It's all the picks. So if you put any of these fans from our team or any other team talking, trash about their team, you put them in the seat and see what type of choices they would make. And you tell me what they would say. They would say, oh, yeah, we just don't know what the hell we doing. Or would you say it's a crapshoot? It's funny to me that you look at teams, people like, man, they always draft. How come they can draft so well? How come they can do it? And why is it that GM and that ownership says the exact same thing the other teams say? They tell you it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. It's so much uncertainty. It's just a crapshoot. They don't say, oh, well, you got to do it this way. And yeah, we know exactly how to find good prospects. No, they tell you the same thing that the bad teams tell you. Why? Crapshoot. Crapshoot means some lose, some win. And that's how it goes. All right. So anyway, that's it for me. Again, reminder, go to the description section. There's a link if you want to leave a message and get your voice on the show. Patreon if you want to support. Go to comment section, start the conversation, share it around. Thumbs up, subscribe, and remember, stay up and bear down.